I don't think there will be ever situation in time where, we or every business should say, we've done it. Because there is always competition. And, companies are always getting better and better. And if you stop, then someone else will take your chair. And then you need to catch up. Sure. So it's a never-ending game. Actually, the companies are, I would say, like in nature, there is evolution, right? The same things is with business. Some companies die, some companies grow. There are new companies popping up like every day. It's never-ending story. So I wouldn't say there is a point of time or, let's say, milestone achieving which you can say, we've done it.
Hello, Recursive community. Our guest today is one of the co-founders and a board member of Scalefocus, Viktor Bilyanski. He started his career in the field of software development 2 decades ago. In 2012, a pivotal moment in his career came up, as he joined forces with 4 other professionals to establish Scalefocus. Today, with 7 delivery locations in Bulgaria, Turkey, North Macedonia, the company provides tailored software solutions and services that empower Fortune 500 companies, innovative startups, and established leaders to innovate, grow, and meet business and technology challenges. In the past decades, Scalefocus has developed hundreds of successful projects on an international level. The company is one of the biggest IT employers in Bulgaria and allows local talent to work on impactful projects for various international clients in a number of industries: IT, financial services, healthcare, energy and utilities, and more. Victor is heavily involved also in the local startup ecosystem as an angel investor, a community supporter, an event organizer. And he is also an avid sports and music enthusiast. Victor, I'm very happy that you're here. Welcome to the Recursive podcast.
Hi, Irina. Thank you for the invitation. I'm really happy to be here.
I usually do that with my guests. I bring them a bit back in time to the beginning of their career. And I wanted to ask you a bit about the moments just before establishing Scalefocus. You had 10 years and even more of technical experience. How did you decide to embark then on an entrepreneurial journey? What motivated you, and how did you become one of the founding members?
Well, it's an interesting story. I've always been very passionate software engineer since the childhood. I remember I started doing software development when I was around 9 years old.
Wow, that early.
Yeah, it was.
What computer did you have back then?
It was Pravets 8M.
I remember this.
My father brought it home. And I remember he had plenty of books about computers and engineering. And back then, we didn't have internet, so I had plenty of time. So I was reading a lot of books and was playing computer games, doing software development on BASIC and Logo. And it was my passion.
What was your favorite game back then? Do you remember the name?
Moon Patrol.
Okay.
And Polo, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I think I came up a bit later. I'm not sure if it was a private or maybe a later version, but I still remember I was operating on DOS, and
Yes.
one of my favorite games was Sokoban on one of those big diskettes. Anyway, cool.
I remember also we were, because I have a younger brother who is also in the software engineering field, and we were constantly fighting about who is going to play on the computer. So one of the first programs that I did was, back then the computers, they didn't have an OS. So you had to boot the OS from floppy disk.
Yeah.
And in all of the floppy disk, I developed a basic program combined with an assembler program. So in order to start using the computer, it asks for a password.
Wow.
But the funny part was that my brother managed to hack it. I was
amazing.
I was very surprised. So we were having fun with computers and software engineering since we were kids.
How did he manage to hack you? He just guessed what it could
There was
be?
Actually there was a very short period of time where you can press specific keyboard sequence.
Yes.
And apparently he was playing a lot with that and managed to somehow break it. I don't know exactly what he did, but he showed me that. I was quite surprised.
What became of him now today? Is he an engineer?
He's a software development manager in an American software company.
Wow, nice. The early days.
Yes.
Where was that, in Smolensk?
Yes.
Cool.
We both are born and raised in Smolensk.
Yes. Okay. And you worked then later on as a software engineer. You studied in Plovdiv, as far as I remember.
Yes, exactly. I started in the Technical University in Plovdiv. My first job was as an administrator in internet company for 6 months. After that, I went to do an internship in Germany, in Berlin, in Deutsche Telekom.
Wow.
As a software developer. Back then I was developing in Java and C++. So they were looking for someone who can code on both Java and C++. I went there, I did the internship for the summer. I came back and started in a British company as a junior software developer.
Wow, that laid actually a very great foundation for your career.
Absolutely,
Berlin.
Absolutely, yeah.
Wow, amazing. And you started in a British company and you lived abroad, or?
No, it was in Plovdiv. It was in Plovdiv.
Okay.
Yeah, I started there. The funny story is that at the same day, I started together with Ivan Ivanov, who is now the CEO of Scalefocus. So we started together more than 20 years ago at the same day as a junior software developers.
Oh, okay. That's serendipitous.
Yeah.
Amazing. And did you manage?
And after that, I spent there 3 years. And after that, 2004, I moved here to Sofia, to back then MTEL, now A1. And I was, again, software engineer doing some software development for MTEL.
And when did the idea of a common venture came up with Ivan?
I spent 7 years at Mobiltel, and then I wanted to do something myself. There I worked with many software providers, and I was sure that I can do, if we find the right team, then we can do great things together.
That you can do better.
Yes, exactly.
Well, that's the confidence.
I was trying to be a little bit modest, but and 2012, actually 2011, I left Mobiltel, and then a few months later, together with the other co-founders, we created the company.
Were you thinking that you're taking on a lot of risk back then?
Yes, there was definitely a risk, because I had a great job at a great company, but I wanted to do something more. And I was sure that even if we fail, which was not very likely, but I'm gonna be able to find something else, to find another job or something that I will like and love to do.
I remember the first time when I decided that I would like to try myself as an entrepreneur, I was very scared. I wasn't happy with my current job back then. And I was 27 and I was thinking that if I want to do something risky and crazy, then it should be now, because later life becomes even more complex. And the time is now. And I was still very scared. And then I went to a fellow entrepreneur and asked him, how did he feel? How did he make the decision? And he asked me one very important question. He asked me, okay, if you fail, what is the worst thing that can happen to you? And I started thinking, and I thought, well, I would be homeless. I wouldn't be able to pay my rent. And then he says, well, come on, you're going to come on my couch. That's not even that big of an issue. And this is the thing, that when you realize that you already have like a fundament in your life, you have the skills, you can find a job, even if it's not the best. At this point, I was always, I was convinced that if I fail, I can always find a job as a waitress.
Yes.
Because I was waitressing a lot. So I can feed myself, even if it's harsh. Then I can make these jumps and I can try something even riskier. I think sometimes we're afraid of things which are very abstract, but if we, think them if you kind of like scale them down to the very basic, it's actually not that bad. Nothing so bad can happen to you.
Absolutely. I fully agree. And actually, I believe that if you have a passion, if you can find the right people and work really hard, then your chances of success are much higher. Because you know that theoretically and from statistical point of view, you have like less than 5 chance of success. But again, having passion is the most important thing. And when I was creating the company, let's say the financial goals, they were not the prime motivator. The most important thing for me was to do what I love to do in technology, in software development, having great team together, enjoying your work. And as I said, if you combine this with a lot of work, then your chances of success are very high. And this is what we did, actually. All of the other co-founders, they are great people. Actually, for every startup, the most important thing is to find the right co-founders. And that actually it's number one reason why startup fail, because problems between the co-founders.
It is true. Yeah,
yes,
that's the most common.
In our case, of the other, at the beginning, 4 people. Now we are back then we were 5 altogether. Now we are 4. All of them are they're great people and very successful. So I think that was the most important thing. And then after that, of course, the people that you attract, that you hire, you need to make sure that they have the same values, that you create a culture which enables people to grow, even to fail in some cases. Because in our journey, we've had many small failures, I would say. But as Elon Musk says, if you don't fail, sometimes you're not innovative enough, because it's not possible to be successful in every small thing that you do. But actually, when you fail, sometimes that's a learning experience, and that should make you even stronger the next time you try something similar.
It is a lesson, definitely. You mentioned a couple of interesting aspects that I would like to ask you about. So obviously you founded the company with co-founders that you tested in time. And I think you can safely speak about how to pick the right co-founder. And I think this is could be very interesting for, the entrepreneurs of the next generation. What did you learn about picking co-founders? What are the qualities that you would be looking at if you had to start all over again?
Well, that's a very difficult question. I don't think there is a general recipe of how to find a co-founder. Otherwise, they would have been some books, some how to say, best practices about that. I think you need to sort of sense it, to have a feel about the people, and ideally you need to spend some time with them to understand more about them, about their values, about their motivators, what motivates them. And these people should be ideally people with great inner drive, people who want to achieve great things together, people who can work with other people, because in every business, teamwork is the most important quality.
Yes.
Because if you want to be successful, you cannot achieve it on your own only. You need to have a great people around you, and you need to start with the co-founders, and then of course the next layer, the top management, and so on and so. It's never-ending game, by the way. It's never-ending game, and for every business, you constantly need to be able to attract new blood, if you will. Also to have a let's say drive for growth constantly.
Yeah. How conscious were you when you created the culture of the company? I mean, of course, in some way, the culture will be part of the founding team.
Yes.
It will be, a shadow of the founding team. But then you start hiring the first employees, and what were you looking at back then? What kind of qualities? Did you have to like them in some way, or?
Not necessarily. Actually, for me, when hiring engineers, it's relatively easy. Because when you spend half an hour with that person, when you talk about technology, about the things that he or she has learned, about the, let's say, some basic concepts about what books they read, how they improve themselves, because in our world it's very important to constantly learn. So if you see all these qualities in a person, then most likely this person will do well. Also, many times I'm looking for, let's say, good sense of humor, because I personally believe that work should be fun. And if work is fun, then it's not work anymore. And if it's not work anymore, then you are able to spend many hours with your colleagues in order to achieve great things together.
I've always experienced you as, one of the most fun people around me, or even in a crowd whenever I have met you. And I always wondered, are you like that in your managerial position? Do you switch off and then you become, the serious manager?
Most of the time I'm fun.
Yeah.
Of course, when things don't go well, then of course not. Because, it's not... at the end of the day, it's a business, and we need to deliver results to our customers and our shareholders.
Yes, of course.
So as long as we deliver those results, then work is fun. If we are off and some things or some people are not doing great, then it's not fun anymore. But that's part of the business.
It is. Speaking of business, tell me, what was the vision that you had back then when you started, when you founded Scalefocus? Does it have to do with the name?
Yes, actually, the name was invented together with the other co-founders. Our idea was that we want to create a big international company out of Bulgaria, because back then we knew that we have a great technology talent, great engineering skills. However, there weren't that many successful IT companies, only a couple of them. And we wanted to show that here, from Bulgaria and from the region, we can create a big international company. and we are now on the right track, I would say.
So you're not there yet. There is still more to go.
Well, depends on how big are your goals and dreams, right? Right now we have customers in more than, I would say, 30 different countries. We have entities in Germany, UK, US. More than 95% of our customers and revenue are outside of Bulgaria.
Yeah.
So from that perspective, I would say we are an international company.
You are.
However, the engineering talent at the moment, it's primarily here in the region, Bulgaria, North Macedonia, and Turkiye. So from that perspective, there are plenty of opportunities for growth.
Yeah, no, I'm sure. I'm just testing how ambitious you are. So it was a decade ago since you established the company.
11
now,
years ago.
I have also some other numbers. The yearly turnover is over 40 million
Euro.
You have customers in Western Europe and also in the US. You mentioned 30 countries. Tell me, which were the pivotal moments that you can now trace back in time where you say, okay, this is where, the track of the company was laid to become what it is today? Which are the most significant moments where you felt like, okay, yeah, we made the right decision. We didn't know how to go forward. And I'm sure that you had a lot of situations where you didn't know how to go forward because you cannot copy paste a model that was already existing. Yeah.
I wouldn't say there is one or two or three, let's say, pivotal moments. For us, every month, every Q, every year, we're reflecting on our past and trying to understand what are our weaknesses and how we can do better.
Wow.
So it's a never-ending game. And I think that should be the mindset of every growing company. Because right now, the business environment, it's changing extremely fast. As you can see now with AI, with ChatGPT, things are changing faster than ever.
We're gonna get to that.
Yes, and I want to say that you need to be, constantly looking to improve yourself, the management of the company, and all the employees of the company if you want to be competitive, because the competition is crazy for every business, no matter what you do. And you simply need to be much better than the competitors. And if you stop doing that, some of them will not. They will continue improving their companies, and at a certain point, they will be just better than you. So it's never-ending game.
I'm sure of that. You mentioned a couple of small mistakes that you made over time, but still...
Many mistakes, not?
But you mentioned also that you managed to establish this culture where you can learn from failure, where failure becomes not a blocker in your way, but and it's not something that you're ashamed of, but it's something where I wouldn't say necessarily celebrate, but it becomes a valuable lesson. Can you maybe share an example of a situation like that?
The biggest failure we had in the past was related with our ambition. We were very ambitious to grow very aggressively, and during the COVID, we had very difficult time where we needed to lay off people. It was terrible for us. It was big shock. And I think that was the biggest lesson that we learned, that sometimes being very aggressive and very ambitious could be dangerous. Because unfortunately, sometimes there are black swan events, some things that you cannot predict. I think right now we are much more robust in expecting what can go wrong, not with us, but with the overall market. And that was, I would say, the biggest failure that we had. But thanks to that, I would say now we are much more stronger, and I'm sure that we'll continue the growth in much more predictable way, I would say.
I'm sure that it was also a very difficult time for you as a leader.
Yes, it was terrible. It was terrible.
It takes a toll.
But as we can see right now, such things are part of the business, unfortunately. And you need to be able to do as much as possible to prevent such things. And we are seeing this in US, in all of the major companies, in Salesforce, Google, Microsoft, Facebook,
and I'm sure
everyone.
That all of them are, so I think there are, of course, such a situation can happen to most of the companies, I think.
Yes.
And what makes a difference is how you do it, I guess.
Absolutely.
And we know of many examples, especially in the States, where the whole thing is not done in a humane way. So I think this is what makes a difference and what stays in history. It's not the mistake, but in a way how you handled it afterwards.
Fully agree, yes.
Yeah.
The other mistakes that we did, we were trying to do too many things at once, doing so many initiatives, so many projects, products, and we learned that you need to have the right focus, to focus on the things that you're doing well.
Scalefocus.
Yes. So nice. we at certain point we focused more on the scale part rather than the focus. And we realized that, and now focus is also extremely important. And in our case, what we do best is developing projects and products for our customers, innovating together with them, with the newest technologies. And this is what we do great, and we will continue to do that.
Can I ask you personally,
yes, of course. You can ask me everything.
As a fellow entrepreneur, about establishing the discipline of focus? In our team, I can proudly say that most of the employees are very entrepreneurial, and they're very
which is great.
And it makes them very enthusiastic to start new projects, to test new things, even to test a bit, with new technologies. Although we're no technical people, yes. We're journalists. And sometimes it feels like there is too much going on, and maybe we're losing the focus.
Yes,
so
definitely.
First of all, how do you know that as a leader? And second of all, how do you establish the focus? Did you hire external consultants here, or because you're entrepreneurial yourself, you also want to innovate and start new shiny projects and have your own pet projects and you want to break out the routine. This is unfortunately what's the nature of entrepreneurs, I think.
Yes. Well, in our case, it was a little bit easier because more than 90% of our revenue comes from the software services that we do. And we started experimenting with some products with not enough, let's say, attention, because of course we need to look after what makes where the cash cow is.
Yes.
And you need to realize that if you're doing too many things, there is a price. First, there is the cost of constantly switching between different things. It's one thing, and which in many cases could be significant. The cost could be significant. Okay. And there is also opportunity cost. If you devote your time to your, let's say, main thing, then most probably you will be able to grow it significantly more than if you do too many things in parallel. And many people don't realize that. They don't realize that there is a context switching cost. There is opportunity cost. In many cases, the cost of context switching, and the opportunity cost could be significantly higher than the potential gain from the other things that you're trying to do.
Yeah, that's true. And
it's a little bit abstract. I hope you
I
you
do understand
what I mean.
it. Yes, yeah, I do understand it. Did you feel like you're losing, how to put it, like sexiness because you're not productizing, because you're focusing on the service business?
It's for every company, it's very difficult to have many successful products. Take Google, for example. They have the search engine, and they're doing, I don't know, tens, maybe hundreds of other things. Of course, they have Google Maps and maybe some other things, but the search engine is...
Google Maps is something that they actually acquired from outside. It's not something that they built.
But anyway, the point was that for every company, it's extremely difficult to have more than one very successful product. Of course, there are big companies like Microsoft, they have more, but at the end of the day, they are maybe just one or couple the products who generate the biggest part of the revenue. So my point was that it's extremely difficult in our case, being a software services company, to develop other, 5-10 different products, because you need to have the right focus. That's why we said, look, we know we are very successful with the services that we provide. The company is profitable, growing. Let's focus on what we do best. The other things, they are very opportunistic. And if you want to do something else, let it be a spin-off or something. And in Scalefocus, let's focus on the services. We have like more than 200 different projects with all kinds of technologies. It's pretty interesting work for engineers, and let's do that.
What brings me to my next question, you mentioned already in the beginning that the primary motivation of founding Scalefocus wasn't the financial one.
No.
I think one of the other characteristics of being an entrepreneur is that you want to have an impact on the world. You want to change something. You're in a way a maverick. Looking back now, you mentioned 200 projects currently, but maybe in total there are much more?
More. Last year only we did more than 270 projects. And overall, I don't know, maybe 1,000.
Can you share maybe about one of the most impactful projects that you had? Something that, you feel like it left a mark on an industry or the world or something like that. There
are many such projects. One of the projects at the moment we are doing, and I'm not going to share the details because we have very strict NDAs.
I'm sure.
Yes. We are helping a cancer research initiative with AI, machine learning, and so on and so forth. So we are actively involved in the project in order to understand more about cancer and how to prevent it.
Wow.
And I think it's pretty important and it will have a great impact on probably everyone's life.
It's amazing. And this is happening from our part of the world.
Yes.
I wish, this is why we established the Recursive, because I think, this huge potential that we have here from this very small country, Bulgaria. Okay, and you're now...
we are in the region.
You are in the region, so you're not operating only from Bulgaria, but we also started covering the whole region because we saw that the potential is there. And still, sometimes I feel like Southeast Europe is like a black box. There is so much going on. The region is bubbling with so many ideas and, hustlers who from here are literally having an impact on whole industries in the world. And it's not that many people know it. Not even we know that.
Yes.
Yeah. So these are the stories that we would like to share in the Recursive. I don't know how strict your NDAs are, but at some point it would be great if we can share a couple of them.
Of course,
Yeah.
I need to check with our legal team what we can share, what not.
Exactly. So you mentioned that at some point you also focused a bit more on innovative projects with your customers. But in order to be innovative, you have to have the right talent.
Yes.
So what do you look at? Let's say, I think in a junior engineer, there is a lot you can do over time. I mean, you can shape them,
Yes.
you can, make them fit or, change their whole mindset. But in a senior engineer, what are you going to look at before you hire them, before you recruit them?
Me
that they
personally,
fit.
I'm always looking for passion for technology.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you have passion for technology, then it's, I think, a matter of time, matter of having the right culture. If you can enable that person, then you can achieve great things together.
Mm-hmm.
So this is the most important quality that I'm looking for. When hiring technical people. Actually, I'm not doing the technical interviews anymore.
Yeah.
But in general, this is what we as a company are looking for.
Mm-hmm.
Someone who has the passion, who likes the work. Because nowadays, all software engineers, they're very well paid. And there are some people, who do it just for the money, which is okay. And
do you see that in an interview?
Oh yes, of course. Of course, many people, which is, as I said, okay and understandable.
Mm-hmm.
But ideally, we need people who love technology, love software development, and love working with other great people.
Mm. Recently, I was part of a discussion where we were discussing about the transition from junior to senior and what kind of skill set one needs to develop to become really a senior, that it's not just a question of years of experience, but it's
not
much more. And what surprised me is that the discussion wasn't about technical skill set at all. It was everything that we discussed was actually related to soft skills, ability to work in a team, the readiness to help a colleague, the skill to receive feedback and also to give feedback, which I never looked at that as a skill set before. So I wanted to ask you in this context of, passion is great, but what else is actually necessary for a person to call themselves a senior engineer?
Yeah. Actually, I don't fully agree with you here.
Okay.
I believe that great technical skills are the fundament.
Mm-hmm.
Without having great technical skills, you cannot be senior engineer. Mm-hmm. Because there are many people, who can talk great things and explain, and then there are no results. So to me, having great technical skills shows actually the result of your passion. Because if you're passionate about technology, then the result is that you have a great technical skills. And here I would agree with what you said, that the great technical skills are the fundament. Mm-hmm. And then if you want to become a senior or principal or architect, you need to be able to work with people. Mm-hmm. Because actually the senior guys, they're those who lead. And if you want to lead, then you need to have also the great soft skills, teamwork, how to motivate the others, how to help others. Because this is how you can, let's say, multiply your value as a senior engineer. So there are two ways, I would say. First is being on your own, great software engineers, and we need many of these, who are on their own, who, solve big challenges, who deliver great value to their companies. Mm-hmm. And this is one way. The other way is, sort of multiplying yourself. So if you're great engineers, if you help 3 other or 4 other people become more productive and become as good as you are, then you're essentially multiplying yourself and you're providing even better value than being only on your own. And I think that's a really important skill, how to be more productive, if you will.
I wonder how this would change now with the adoption of AI in so many aspects of software development, but also in so many aspects of how do we organize companies? How are we going to manage different types of tasks? Even in our field, journalism and marketing, it's going to be totally different once we start using AGI. What is your answer as an organization that is heavily providing services,
yes,
engineering services to other companies? How are you going to adapt to that? So AI has been coming at us for many years. ChatGPT only made it very visible where we are today. Yeah, tell me.
I think the whole world will for sure change significantly with the AI revolution, I would say. And at the moment, I think that we are just starting. That it will be the biggest technology revolution ever, I believe. And what we are doing is we are investing a lot of, let's say, analyzing and seeing how we can be more productive. Basically, the whole idea is how to increase the productivity of our company and deliver even bigger value to the customers.
Yeah.
So we are doing many things in order to see how we can be more productive using ChatGPT. There will be very soon a new version, Copilot X, also. And we are at the moment trying to, let's say, create a program for everyone in the company in order to help them get better and be more productive. As I said, we are just starting. We don't have a, let's say, very clear roadmap what has to be done, but for sure we're gonna invest significantly in AI for us as a engineering company to be more productive, and also for our customers to see how we can help them solve their business problems better with AI.
There's been a lot that has been said around how AI is going to replace us, and some of the jobs will become, will not exist anymore, and especially for software engineers, because all the bots there will be coding for them. Are you afraid of that?
I do believe that many professions will, will not be available anymore. This will happen for sure. I don't know which exactly, but there will be professions which no longer will be needed because the AI can do the job. However, I still think that people always will need to sort of steer the process or work together with the AI to be more productive. So I think that's good. That's great, because it will be better for the overall humanity, that most probably there will be no longer hunger in the world. People will have more free time. Maybe we don't need to work 5 days a week. Maybe we'll need to work 3 days a week or 4 days a week.
But still get the same salaries?
Yes.
Or maybe even higher?
So,
okay.
So long story short, I think this is great. What will happen in the future? regarding the software development job, I think simply with AI we'll be much more productive and we'll be able to deliver more projects, more products, more efficient, with less cost and faster.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, digital transformation at the same time is still ongoing, and I think it won't decrease. Actually, we will digitize even more and more processes in the future. So I think we will need more and more code, and who is going to do the code doesn't matter. As long as we manage to manage AI in a good way.
That's a different question. It's a scary one.
Yeah.
Hopefully we will be able to manage the AI, because otherwise it might become really dangerous.
Have you been ever afraid that AI might replace you as a leader in a company? Recently, I've been following an experiment where they made ChatGPT the CEO of a company, letting it make decision. It's very weird. And then I started thinking, I never thought that you could actually replace me with with ChatGPT, but yeah.
Maybe not this year.
Not this year.
But it's definitely possible in the future to see AI leading companies.
Mm-hmm.
And again, I think that's good.
Yeah.
Because everything will be more productive. We'll have more time. However, we need to be really cautious with, how ambitious the AI will be. And because this can be really scary.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And there are some activists, including Elon Musk, who want to stop the development of the AI for some time, but I don't think this is realistic. You cannot manage that process. We need to make sure, and everyone needs to make sure that AI is safe. I think that should be the top one priority in terms of what we want to achieve with AI. And hopefully we'll manage to find solution for AI safety, because at the moment I don't think there is such solution. Hopefully there will be something in the future.
Yeah, I think as always, policymakers and regulators are catching up with technology.
Yes.
And I think no one actually expected that technology would advance that fast. While we were part of this discussion of how AI is going to change the world, I don't think that we really felt like it's knocking on our door. And now I'm thinking that within 1 or 2 years, AI will be pretty capable of developing on its own whole applications and systems, and will be able to make a lot of decisions instead of us. I never felt that it's that close.
It is very close. Keep in mind that in order to take the right decision, the most important thing is to have as much data as possible. And we humans, we don't always have the whole data needed to take the right decision. However, AI has all data in the world to take the right decision. And from that perspective, in many cases, they will be able to take a better decision, or it will be able to take a better decision than we humans. And that's good, because AI can help us take the best decisions. Even right now, very soon, I expect that every doctor will use AI in order to help their patients with the right diagnosis, because it's extremely helpful. I expect next year that there will be, let's say, commercial service which doctors can use to help diagnose people, and which is great. It will improve significantly the healthcare of the people.
Definitely. AI can definitely help us make data-driven decisions on an even larger scale.
Yes.
Where I'm a bit afraid is that the concept of good and bad, even between ourselves, is very different from one another. It differs also from one culture to the other one. We don't have a common concept of good and bad. And sometimes it's very situational. I mean, even if we have laws, even, law can do injustice to someone because the situation, context has not been taken into consideration. So where I'm afraid is letting AI make decisions without having the principles of good and bad. I don't know, how do we teach AI morality without us having a concept for that ourselves?
That's a difficult question. Just to clarify, to go back to my previous answer, the first step will be that the AI will help doctors. It will not take the decision for the people, but it will help and advise. At the end of the day, the doctors will be the ones who will take the decision. However, the AI will help significantly.
In calculating
calculating, suggesting, and whether or not we will reach a certain point where the AI will be able to take such decisions completely on its own, I think so. But it's a very complicated question in terms of morale, safety, and many other aspects. So, I mean, we still don't know the answers to these questions. But hopefully with the progress of, let's say, of AI, we will be able to find the right solutions.
Lately, AI has been bringing me also closer to thinking about the concept of God, because in a way, this is what we see as a quality of God. Sometimes we wouldn't understand God's decision. I'm sorry, I'm not really religious in this sense, but I was thinking about, how does it relate together? So if, let's say, something bad happens, like, I'm thinking of the earthquakes in Turkey, which was a very, very heartbreaking situation for me. And then you ask, how could God allow this? A lot of people who are religious would actually ask the same question and would be angry. And then the answer always would be, well, God is the only one who has the perspective of it all. So we as humans couldn't comprehend all of the context that has been taken into consideration. Or at least this is how a lot of people would explain that. And I was thinking, but this is what will happen with AI as well. At some point, I'm not even sure that we would know what kind of data and context is fed into the algorithms.
Yes.
And it will be making decisions that at first will look horrible to us. Anyway, it's a philosophical...
It's a very interesting and philosophical question. I don't know the answer.
Yeah.
Honestly, actually, some people say that we humans are the biological boot water for the AI. So we are the ones who need to create it, and then it will rule the world and the universe. Hopefully this does not happen, but it is possible.
That's interesting as well. I'm still seeing that you're an optimist about the future.
I'm always optimist.
This is true. Yeah. Let's go back to reality, or to the more tangible world. So, Scalefocus. You mentioned that you're even more ambitious than what you have achieved at this point. I'm sure that you won't share all the ambitions that you have in mind, but I'm going to ask you, about how do you imagine the situation where you feel like, yeah, we've done it. This is it. We got to the point where, is there a situation in time like this? No.
I don't think there will be ever situation in time where, we or every business should say, we've done it. Because there is always competition, and companies are always getting better and better. And if you stop, then someone else will take your chair, and then you need to catch up. Sure. So it's a never-ending game. Actually, the companies are, I would say, like in nature, there is evolution, right? The same things is with business. Some companies die, some companies grow. There are new companies popping up like every day. It's never-ending story. So I wouldn't say there is a point of time or, let's say, milestone achieving which you can say, we've done it. No, Now,
what about you personally? So, Monsieur Terziev speaks a lot about the long tail of success, and I know that you're also a very great supporter of other entrepreneurs, and you're part of the CEO Angels Club. I'm sure that you're also a mentor to many other entrepreneurs. Yes. Do you feel that at some point you would like to have more time in doing exactly that? Paying forward and helping others?
I love helping other people, actually. However, there is also cost associated with that. It's, if you remember our previous discussion, I was talking about focus. So if you don't have the right focus, then there is a cost related to that.
Yes.
But at certain point, you need to be able to pay back and help other entrepreneurs and other companies as much as you can. So from my perspective, I would say that personally, I will continue to do what I'm doing to make sure that I help my company growing, deliver value to customers and shareholders, and help as much as I can to the overall community, not only here in Bulgaria, but also in the region. Because when you help other people, you're also getting better. There is a saying that the best thing to learn something is by helping and teaching other people, because it gives you another perspective. When you help other people, then you realize some things that you haven't realized before that.
True, that's very much true. You've been observing the development of the startup ecosystem now for over time. I think if we have to calculate it, so the first venture capital fund was approximately 10 years ago. So it was around the time when you founded Scalefocus. Yes. If you have to take a snapshot 10 years ago and a snapshot now of the startup ecosystem, of the IT ecosystem that we have developed in Bulgaria, but also the region, because I don't see Bulgaria an isolated ecosystem. It is very well connected to the whole region. Tell me about the evolution. What did you observe? Yes. Yeah,
I think we've done a great progress. The changes are, I would say, amazing. And this is thanks to people like Vasil, Zarko, and many others who are paying back and helping the ecosystem. I think that's really important. Having this mindset helps the whole society and many of the young entrepreneurs, and that's really important in order to improve, let's say, the overall economic situation in our region, the mentality of the people, and everything. And I'm really happy because, right now, if you're very ambitious, if you have a great idea, if you're working 110%, most likely you will be able to find someone, VC or angel or someone to invest in you.
Mm-hmm.
And 10 years ago, that was not the case. It was very difficult to find capital. It was extremely hard.
Mm-hmm.
And now there are plenty of opportunities.
True.
However, people and young entrepreneurs, they should realize that the capital is not the most important factor of success.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, the capital is just, I would say, enabler.
True.
You, the entrepreneur and the co-founders are the most important thing and the most important success factor.
Mm-hmm.
How passionate you are, how hard you work, are you realistic, do you have the right self-awareness? Having the right self-awareness is extremely important, because if you know your weaknesses, then you can find a way how to compensate them through the other co-founders or through other people. If you're not realistic, if you don't have good self-awareness, then that's not the best case, because you're not doing the best things that you can do for your company.
I truly believe that venture capital sometimes is overrated. Especially first-time founders they should be focused on raising it, but it's like when we have it and then everything will be solved. And actually the real work starts afterwards. But I'm occupying myself lately with another question, which is more related to how do we use what we have learned in the past 10 years to produce systemically successful companies. So last year we had the unicorn, and having a unicorn is great because it creates a great story. We have also other very successful companies which are not unicorns, and not every company needs to be a unicorn. But still, if you look at them, they're a bit of outliers. It's not like we have a factory for successful startups like, let's say, Israel or even Estonia, if we look at them. So what are we still missing in order to reach that level where we can be an ecosystem that creates successful companies with global ambitions on a systemic level?
That's an interesting question. Before answering it, I just want to go back and say that sometimes nowadays, because of media, raising capital is considered as a big success. I don't think it is success. I think it's an obligation, especially the seed capital, companies that they raised, I don't know, 100,000 euro, that's great, or million. This is an obligation and trust from the investor.
True.
And the entrepreneurs need to work really hard to pay off. I think this is very important for young entrepreneurs to realize, because they're just focused on how to raise capital, and then some of them, they believe that after that everything will be solved automatically and with some magic. No,
it's partially our fault because we write
wanted to give you that feedback. You constantly write stories about this company they raised, that's amazing, and people who, most of the people, they don't understand how venture capital works, how startups work, and they think, wow, that's amazing, that's great. No, this is just the beginning.
Just the beginning.
You need to deliver the results.
It is just the beginning, and I can definitely say that from experience. The moment when you have closed the deal with your investors, this is where the real work starts.
Absolutely.
And this is where you start.
You also know it yourself.
I also know it myself. Basically, what we do is giving them a bit of the heads up. So these people they will be hiring, there is someone who trusted them that they have an interesting business model. Although at the moment of a pre-seed or seed, fundraising round, you have nothing.
Yes.
You have just a bunch of people who believe in something which is in the future. So there is not much that we can say about the milestones that they have crossed. So it is an investment, but it's not like that's the success. The success is much later.
Yes.
Anyway, yeah.
So back to your question, I think the most important thing to achieve as a society in order to have systematic success in business, in startup, is the mentality of the people, mentality of the startups. They need to know that it will be extremely hard and there will be crazy competition, and they need to beat all of the competition or be at top level in order to succeed, and also to have the mindset of sharing knowledge. I want to share an interesting story about Steve Jobs. Most probably you know it, many people have heard it. Actually, he said that when he was 20 years old, he called one of the founders of Hewlett Packard and asked them for some parts in order to do some things, some electronics. And actually, they not only gave him the parts, but also invited him at the factory to do some summer job. And he said, if you have problems, just go and ask someone for help. And if we, like what people in Israel do, they really love help each other. They're not afraid of asking someone for advice and help, and the other person with the knowledge and experience is more than happy to share and help. If we create this mentality, not only by some people who are doing it, but if everyone is doing, people with successful business, if they can find time to share their knowledge and experience to young entrepreneurs, and also if the young people are not afraid to ask, I think then we can talk about systematic success.
I like what you said very much. It is also very true. So, yeah, often we speak about having dreams and how we need to be a bit bolder, more ambitious, but it's not just that. I think if you have global ambitions, you have to be top-notch. You have to become better at what you are.
Absolutely.
And you know that from experience because you've been competing against many international companies. So you know how hard it is. But the second part of what you said, it is so true. And I think in some ways, sometimes we lack a bit of confidence to go and to ask for advice or help, because it would mean that you're failing, and this is so not true. There is a lot of wisdom that is already existing out there, and before reinventing the warm water again and again and again, you can just go out and ask for it. But we don't do it because we're ashamed, because we're afraid that we're going to be judged. So that's an aspect of confidence that I didn't think about. We should think about doing something in the Recursive about that.
Okay.
Thank you.
That would be great. That would be great.
Yes. Somehow support this culture of exchange and letting people also speak more honestly about the situation where they didn't know and they didn't have a plan.
Yes. People speaking about their successes and failures as well.
Yeah, true. Victor, it was a huge pleasure to have you here. Thank you for this interview. It was very honest and very human, and I never experienced you like that before. Usually I experience you.
You've seen only my fun part.
Exactly. But thank you for being the wonderful human being you are.
Thank you. Thank you for the invitation, Irina, and for all the things that you're doing for the community and our region.
Next on the Recursive podcast, the CEO of the prop tech company Homesters, Dmitry Alexandrov.
In 5 or 10 years' time, it's going to be, instead of going to a property portal, you would just ask a robot, like, find me a 2 properties or 5 properties that I will select from 1 hour drive from Rome, near the seaside, where there's a kindergarten nearby. And that's what's going to happen. And then you like it? Okay, book me a viewing or connect me to the agent. That's what's going to happen.
But don't you think that we're moving also a bit more to a shared economy where we wouldn't be buying that much, but of course we would be using it, but in a totally different model?
Oh, that's for sure.
Yeah.
That's for sure.
And if you are just as passionate about innovation as we are, hit subscribe for the Recursive podcast on YouTube or your favorite podcast platform. We're everywhere.